Yeah, I thought I'd show you how to make brown butter. A lot of recipes will call for brown butter, and of course you want to do it right. You can quickly burn the butter and then that will be no good. So turn your heat to medium and put in as much butter as your recipe calls for. My recipe for browned butter toffee chocolate chip cookies calls for 2 sticks of butter. I just cut the butter up into smaller chunks, and we're going to put this in a pan. It's harder to do this in a non-stick pan because it's hard to see when the butter actually browns. So we're just going to put the butter in our pan and let it heat. And don't walk away from it, because once it starts to brown, it browns quickly. Now you'll notice I already had my heat on. I always suggest that you get your pan heated up before you start cooking. And we're just going to watch this butter melt. This is 2 sticks of unsalted butter. But you can use salted, it just depends what your recipe calls for. The reason why they say unsalted butter in particular applications is so that you can control the amount of salt that goes into your food. Each butter is different. Sometimes they put in more salt, sometimes they put in less. So if we just use unsalted, you'll know that you're not adding extra salt with the butter. As it starts to melt, you will see it start to foam up and the fat solids and the liquid separate. Brown butter is delicious. It has a toffee aroma and a toffee flavor. As a matter of fact, when you are making a toffee or caramel, they will have you brown your butter to a certain point. So right now you can see the solids on the top. If you were to skim that off with a spoon, you would just have clarified butter, or another term for that is ghee. And that's where the fat solids come off the top and you just have that butter underneath. You see how it looks liquidy when I push the fat solids away? But in brown butter, we want to keep this going. So as your butter starts to heat up, stir it occasionally and just keep your eye on it. It's going to start to turn a light golden brown, but we want it to be a medium golden brown. Right now, it's just very yellow, isn't it? It's not golden, it's yellow. But you'll start to see in the center, usually is where you see it first, is start to turn color, and that's when you want to keep it moving. Just a gentle stir so that it's evenly browning. The minute you get it to where you want it, you need to take your pan off the heat so it will not continue to brown. This happens quite quickly now. Now those solids are going to the bottom of the pan, and those are what will be browned. Give you that delicious, delicious flavor. We're also cooking off any water that's in the butter. If you feel your heat is too high, turn it down a little bit because you don't want it to burn. And this is very important. Stay right here. Because once it starts to brown, it goes quick. You're going to see the bubbles subside just a little bit. And just keep stirring it. Patience is definitely key. See all that foaming going on now? Getting lots of foam, aren't we? I see it starting to change in color. So important to keep it moving now. Make sure you use a heat-safe spatula You wouldn't want to just take any regular rubber spatula and put it in there. It could melt it. You see how it's turning? Whoop. You're going to start smelling the flavor. See? I'm going to let it go just a little bit more. I've got a nice golden color. And I'm happy with that medium golden brown. I don't know if you can see it too much. I'm going to try and move it so you can see it. See those fat solids on the bottom? That's what has browned. All right, take it off the heat. You do not want to continue the browning because it will burn. I'll just pour it right back in my other container, my cooled container. Be very careful. If it smells acrid or burned, you will have to start over because there's no way to fix it. So I've got some nice medium golden brown butter. All right, that is browned butter. Join me for my next video when I make those cookies that I was talking about with this brown butter. Yum!